Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today we're looking at Mothman and Skinwalkers. I have a couple of great articles to read to you today, folks, and both of them are very interesting. The first article involves this young boy seeing this Mothman standing on the limb of a tree, and it's very interesting. The name of the article is 12-Year-Old Boy Reports Recent Mothman Sighting in Macomb, Mississippi. Let's read it, folks, and hear exactly what this boy saw. And then we'll read the story involving a skinwalker encounter. Either way, at that point it noticed me, and as I stared into its pure red eyes and made eye contact, I felt overall unnerved and uneasy. Then I looked at my phone for a second, and when I looked back, it was gone. That was another brief excerpt from the actual story, folks, and is indeed very cool. So let's read the full account, as usual, folks, now. Hi, my name is HC and I'm 12 years old. I believe I have seen a Mothman. I'll give details. On May 14th, 2025, I was riding with my sister and grandmother to school because she works as a gym teacher. It was a cloudy sky when we drove next to a Shell gas station. I looked on Google Maps and I think it was 31 North and 90 West. There I saw a black humanoid figure of probably 7 to 8 feet tall standing in a tree. I thought it was a bird, but then it spread its wings and I saw arms. At that point it noticed me, and as I stared into its pure red eyes and made eye contact, I felt overall unnerved and uneasy. Then I looked at my phone for a second, and when I looked back, it was gone. I was confused, but I didn't want it to ruin my day, so I kept quiet. About a minute later, a person pulled in front of us, so my grandmother hit the brakes and my sister and I jolted forward. We could have died. I told my mom when I got home, and she supported me. So now, here I am writing to you. Do you believe me? HC. Okay, what can we say about HC's story? It sounds like a typical story of an encounter with a paranormal entity. And as usual, folks, when you take your eyes off these entities and you look back at them, they're gone. So I have to ask, why was this entity there? And do we believe HC? He's a 12-year-old boy, folks. And it sounds like he indeed is telling the truth here, folks. But a lot of people would basically find, well, the fact that he's a 12-year-old a deal breaker and say that's probably all just his childlike imagination, or just say he was just seeing things. Most skeptics and most people in general would just say that, folks. But it sounds like his mother believed him. So I'm willing to say, even if she didn't say so, folks, that he might be telling the truth. So HC saw this Mothman, and as I say again, folks, what did it want? We don't know. But let's read the rest of the article first, and then we can maybe, theorize on the, answer to that. Note, it seems that HC implies that the winged humanoid sighting may have been a harbinger, Lon. They later received this update. Hi, Lon, this is HC's mom, BC. HC and I have discussed the importance of internet safety, and I wanted to let you know that I am on his emails as well. His answer to your question is around 80 yards south of the corner on Lawrence Street and South Laurel Street in Macomb, Mississippi. I just want to know if people would believe me. Do you? There's another note with a little more information as well, folks. I assured both HC and BC that I take all reports seriously, and I explained the winged humanoid phenomena. My policy is that experiencers under the age of 18 must have an adult respond to my inquiries. If other information unfolds, I will update this report, Lon. Indeed, folks, as usual, I want to know if there's been any other instances in this area of people seeing Mothman, or if this was the only time HC and his mother, if the both of them, as well as maybe other members of their family, experienced any other encounters of this type, or with any other, bizarre phenomena. For all we know, folks, that maybe HC and his family have a history of encountering bizarre phenomena, and this is the first time any of them ever reported it. But also, folks, as I said, I want to know if this area has had any other encounters with this Mothman. Now, it's been said that there's the Chicago Mothman, folks, and I have to wonder if maybe people seeing Mothman in Chicago and in Illinois is just basically a precursor to more sightings in America and worldwide. And remember, HC said that he thought that this Mothman encounter was like a harbinger to what happened to them in the car next. So, is that true as well, folks? It's been said that Mothman indeed is like a harbinger of ill fortune. So maybe this Mothman was warning HC, and this is why he saw him. Either way, it's fun to surmise and theorize, folks, but also I'm glad that HC and his family were all right after, what happened next. I mean, the grandmother did hit the brakes and they were all slammed forward very hard, but they all came out of it all right. So I'm glad about that. Either way, folks, let's get into the next article. Skinwalker on the Hogan Roof. Wake up. Indeed, folks, the article has a very bizarre title. Because basically what happens is the witness basically hears someone on her roof and she basically screams at them to wonder why they're up there, and they respond with basically say, "Wake up!" It sounds like this entity was basically messing with the witness here, probably to upset her, folks. So, we'll hear the full account, but let me read this brief blurb once again from it to give you an idea of exactly what happened. Unnerved, but a bit irritated, she asked Navajo, whoever it was, to state their business. The voice turned out to be a man's voice. "Wake up!" he yelled in Navajo. As you can see, folks, it sounds like this entity just wanted to basically mess with this person. Now, I have to ask, folks, maybe it was somehow feeding on the witness here. Maybe it wanted to irritate her, so it could feed on her fear and irritation. Because we've read about that before, folks, where these entities do so because they want us to basically be upset. Is that what happened here, folks? We'll wonder about that, and maybe, as I said, we'll theorize about that and speculate on the truth of it after we read the entire account now. Let's get into it, folks. This is a rather creepy story that my grandma shared that might be interesting to you. She told it in Navajo, although she knows English. I think maybe it was easier for her to explain it. It was about her older sister, my other grandma, when she was alive and still living near the mountain. We're on the New Mexico side of the Navajo reservation. My older grandma was living alone in her one-room house, a traditional Navajo hogan. She still owned a lot of sheep and goats and was in good health. She never became senile and was energetic and alert until her death from cancer a few years ago. Her hogan was traditional, so it had a dirt floor with a stove in the middle of the room with a pipe reaching through a large circular opening in the ceiling, with no indoor plumbing. She didn't have any electricity or even outdoor lighting. The area is surrounded by thick sagebrush, juniper, and pine trees, as well as beautiful red cliffs that yield red dirt. Sounds like a beautiful place to live, folks, honestly. But apparently it isn't very safe because things like, well, encountering paranormal entities like this seem to happen there. Either way, very interesting so far, folks. So, can you imagine living in an area like this and you basically think, well, nothing could possibly go wrong, and then you encounter something that not only is wrong, but is hard to explain to anyone else. Either way, very strange, folks. So, let's read the other half of the account now. One night she went to bed after a long day of herding sheep. She awoke to the sound of somebody walking and moving around on the roof in the middle of the night. Unnerved, but a bit irritated, she asked in Navajo, whoever it was, to state their business. The voice turned out to be a man's voice. "Wake up!" he yelled in Navajo. My grandma then told him to get off her roof and leave her alone. Surprisingly, he listened to her and jumped off the roof, running in a southern direction as he did so. When she woke up the next morning, my grandma went outside to search for the mysterious footprints in the reddish dirt, but there was none at all. She supposed it was a skinwalker that had visited her during the night. Trust me, it was not the only encounter she had with these types. Other people experienced them as well. I'm sure you'll hear of those stories elsewhere. So, indeed, folks, this area sounds like it's a beautiful area to live, even if it is, well, a desert. But apparently, you won't be left alone by weird entities that basically you only think exist in folklore. Now, this woman probably does believe in skinwalkers, like that, but can you imagine basically not believing in any of it, and this creature basically bothers you? Now, in this account, maybe you just think it was just basically some guy. But remember, folks, how many people, even if they're fit young men, can basically jump off a roof and then basically start running in a southerly direction from your home? How many people can actually do that? Maybe a few, but there's the fact, folks, that maybe that the fact that this took place in the middle of the night and this entity was able to basically literally jump from a roof and run off so fast makes you think that maybe this entity wasn't exactly normal. I mean, how many people can actually do that? I mean, quite a few, but just some random guy basically choosing you and then basically performing it? It sounds, as I said, off to me. Like this entity performed all of that so perfectly, it makes me think that it was almost like an act he was putting on for the witness's benefit. Either way, a very intriguing article, folks. Do you think that this entity will harass her again, or any others? Maybe. Either way, folks, we're at the end of this video, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad For You. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. So please do so. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.